All right, welcome to the Protein Bros podcast. This is Steve Ralos. I'm the guest for today, and my co-hosts are Jeff Wasserman and Kyle Combs, the two amazing owners of Supplement Superstores.
Ooh, he's good.
Yeah, Steve, if you guys can't tell, Steve's not from the United States. Where are you from, Steve?
I'm actually from a small town in Oklahoma called Chickasha. It's the city of Christmas lights.
Really?
But in all seriousness, Australia.
Yeah. But have we been to Chickasha before?
I have been.
Is that like a go-to spot? I have not. Is this a year-round Christmas thing?
No, but they are known for their Christmas lights. In a previous life as a soccer coach, there's a university there called University of Science and Arts, and unfortunately I was privileged to have the honor of going there and pulling into that town in an evening, and they rock Christmas pretty good there. Not much else going on but Christmas rocks.
Chickasha,
Oklahoma. Look it up.
Is it? Okay. So
Chickasha, Oklahoma and Australia got to be basically the same place. Am I wrong?
A little bit more wildlife in Australia, but yes.
I mean,
Lots of things that can kill you in Australia.
I have an affinity for Christmas lights. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I go out of my way to see some good Christmas lights. I went down to Silver Dollar City last year for the old time Christmas. It's a great time.
It is a good time.
That is a great time. It was absolutely worth it. But Chickasha, Oklahoma, is it a drive-through display or is this like a walk-up to it display?
Mate, the whole city puts Christmas lights on their houses. There isn't a house that doesn't have lights on it.
Wow. Okay.
That's commitment.
That is commitment on the next
You
level.
get kicked out of the city if you don't want to put up Christmas lights.
I'm looking up Google Maps, Chickasha, Oklahoma as we speak.
I think it's in their covenants in the city.
Luke, how far are we from Chickasha? Look it up. We want to know.
He's like, my phone's recording this.
All right. So Steve is actually the proud owner of Brickyard Fitness here in Kansas City. It's Kansas City's elite urban gym. If you have never been, it's phenomenal. It's located in the East Bottoms. If you're not familiar, that is right across the railroad tracks. It's right next door to, there's a tortilleria next door, isn't it?
Yoli's Tortillas. That's their kind of their bake out or their shop out where they manufacture everything, and they sell to some pretty nice high end restaurants in town here.
Yeah, they're super popular. And then you got the J. Rieger Distillery is like right next to that.
Yep, that's about 30 seconds from us, and then Knuckleheads outdoor venue is probably 45 seconds from us. So
yeah, man, Knuckleheads is a crazy spot. On the right night if you go. I went with a buddy to the Kevin Costner.
Yeah, that's right. How
Yellow,
was that?
Dude. I left about 30 minutes into it, to be honest with you.
Did you wear your cowboy hat and your cowboy boots?
I did not. But
that's why you left early. It's because everyone is looking at you like, who is this?
No, dude, it's way worse than that. So I went with a special guest on our podcast, Justin Williams, aka Jayhawk Fitness. He and I went together to this concert, and Justin wore white pants with white shirt, like an unbuttoned white shirt. Like
when I think of that, that's like Backstreet Boys outfit, circa 1998.
Yeah, it's exact. He was one of. I mean, it was off of
just all white.
Way.
I mean, that's ballsy. You ever do that, Steve?
Never.
All white outfit, you know?
No, I'm. If you open my closet, it's different shades of black.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, painters were looking at him funny. They were like, "What are you doing, dude?"
Painters.
They're like, "What are you doing here, man?"
I have my white S2 hat that I have. My wife's always like, "Can you go put a different color on because you look like a painter?"
Yeah,
he's the beacon of light. I bet.
I tell you right now, man. In that place, it was rocking. I mean, like they packed it out way too full. It was, a 30-minute wait to get a beer. Totally not worth it. Like just not a good experience if you don't like being around a ton of people, like asses to elbows. And when you're head to toe in white, you were just getting some crazy looks. So we were like, all right, well, this is just like another level of uncomfortable, and you couldn't really see the stage well, this or that. So, but anyways, Knuckleheads is a cool venue. If you haven't been, go. Moving forward, Steve has done a ton in his life. If you're not watching on YouTube, or if you're not actually looking at it on Spotify, because we got the Spotify video now. If you didn't already know that, it's pretty awesome. But Steve is also known as the Australian Rock. He's like 6'5". How tall are you now?
6'2".
6'2", but looks every bit as 6'5".
Just because you're so jacked.
260 pounds in the off season.
Yeah, 255, 260.
Yeah, and what are we sitting at right now?
I'm halfway through pre-prep for a show, so right around 242.
Incredible. Where were you on stage last time? Because you got low. You got lean, right?
I did. I checked in at 211 and a half.
Unbelievable.
And then by
The biggest 211 that's ever walked the earth.
For real though. I mean, like it's crazy how shredded you got, and you still. I mean, it's at 6'2", it's just so hard to, you know what I'm saying, like to look small whatsoever. But bodybuilding stuff at 6'2", isn't it?
Yeah, the bigger you are, it's harder to gain size.
Why is that?
I mean, all your muscle fibers are much longer. I mean, you've got to do more work. No disrespect to the shorter fellas, but I mean, short is short, and it's easy to gain weight when you're 5'5", 5'6", 5'7".
Right. There's not a lot of places to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like from my hip to my knee is probably 3/4 of their leg. So, I mean, so it's relative.
Yeah. Well stated. So you got any new
What's the show you're doing?
Yeah.
My coach has me set up to do Omaha in October, and then hopefully if all goes well, we'll turn around and get to pick which national show we want to go to. So it'll either be Masters in California in November or Open in Florida in December.
Okay.
Nice.
We got so let's go back to the beginning. You know what I mean? Because, how old are you now? If you don't mind us asking.
I'm on the brink of turning 47.
47 years old. The guy looks absolutely incredible if you guys don't know him, but he's in phenomenal shape. And the question is like people that listen to this podcast, we do this specifically to give people an insight on, what we would consider to be as Kansas City's best fitness people that have been able to make a living out of their passion, and it's difficult to do. And that's relatively new for you. So sorry. It's relatively new for you.
Yep.
And, it's never like the point of this is that it's just never too late, to pursue something that you're super passionate about.
Right.
And, you've got kids, you've got Nina, you got this situation where it's like, you have to balance all these things and then say, should I quit my job and go full out and open a gym?
Right.
And so I want to get into that kind of story. When did that start?
So, the fitness journey for me probably started, when I was a small boy. I was watching TV when I was 5, and I was watching a soccer game on TV, and I was more so amazed at how the fans were reacting to the players more so than the game, because I was clueless. I didn't really know what was going on, and in my mind, I was like, I want to do that. To have those people like be cheering and screaming for those people. So, it kind of set me on a path to where. I became an apprentice footballer. It's kind of like being like an apprentice for a trade. But
in Australia, they call it this. You're saying?
Yeah. So that's a tough time. Times back then are different than now, especially with what you got to go through. I slept on the floor for a couple of years. And like when I say I slept on the floor, I was on the floor. And at the end of each month, where the next meal was going to come from. But
how old were you when this was going on?
16, 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
It was that 2-year span to turn 8, before you turn 18 and they offer you a pro deal.
Is soccer huge over in Australia?
It's actually the 5th tier sport. It's
Really?
behind rugby league, rugby union, Aussie rules, cricket at the time, and then soccer. So, obviously, just like here in the States, there's a number of sports ahead of soccer, or what we call football. So, it makes the graft even harder because the money, at that time, it was decent, but still wasn't comparable to the other sports. So, so even as an apprentice, the club's giving you $200 for food for an entire month. And,
that's wild.
Yeah. So, you even if you manage your money well, you're running out of money at the end of the month. So, you've got to be willing to do things. And, I remember, going to fast food restaurants and, stealing the ketchup packets, because in Australia, like condiments and drinks, you don't get free refills or free condiments. It's, you got to pay for it.
Oh, that's why you left.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
Got to get out of here.
So yeah, I remember stealing condiment packets, specifically ketchup, and at the end of the month when things were tight, I'd put that ketchup in a saucepan with water, and I'd make tomato soup out of it, and I'd get through the last couple of days, either doing tomato soup or ramen noodles, only using half a packet of the seasoning and putting the seasoning in the water and making like a chicken broth to get through the last couple of days in the month. And
holy shit.
Yeah, man.
So, being able,
how old were you here?
17,
Yeah.
18, yeah.
But so is this traditional route so help us in the States, culturally, you're basically you're going to be going to high school until you're 18, and that's just everybody that goes to, it's very traditional. I'd just say in the US, to that be the case, was it remotely traditional to do the path that you did, or is everybody else is in high school, or what's going on there?
I was still going to school. So, I wanted to be a footballer, so these were just the things that you did. So, I was still finishing high school. I started school early, so when I entered year 1, I was 4 turning 5. So when I graduated high school, I was turning 17. It's calendar. The school in Australia is calendar year, so it's January through December.
Gotcha.
So I graduated in 92. I just turned 17. So knocked all that out, and that really probably ingrained my work ethic and the grind and the graft, and be accepting of things that no one's going to give you nothing until it's in your back pocket. So I remember those days, and it's kind of probably set me on the path that I did. So I played several years as a footballer in Australia, and then 7 knee operations later, it's like I need to reevaluate life a little bit.
7?
7. So
7 knee operations? All same knee or both?
6 on one and 1 on the other. So my right leg's the good leg because it's only had 1. So, but 2 ACLs, 4 arthroscopic cleanups, and a patella tendon surgery, all because of soccer. So, and they say it's a non-contact sport.
Mm-hmm.
So, but immigrated here to the U.S. in 2000, and started college coaching, just transitioned straight into football because that's all I knew.
Mm-hmm. And you were done. You're done with your professional career.
I was done. So
this is around 30 years old or so.
I was 25.
Okay.
So 18 to 25, and then over. Should have played golf. That's what I should have done. But immigrated here, started a college coaching career that was very eventful and successful. Not a lot of people know that I did that. I kind of keep that in my back pocket. I don't really talk about my past a lot. Past is behind you. It's what you're trying to work towards, and that's in front of you.
Sure.
If someone asks, I'm happy to tell them. But so coached here, got a couple rings. They sit in the drawer just like everything else. So and then I just kind of woke up one morning and was like, man, what am I doing here? I was married at the time. I had 2 kids, ex-wife, and I get ahead of you guys so you don't ask.
Yeah, we want to ask those questions.
So, and then, I hadn't lived in the same state as my kids for 6 years, because being a college coach, if you want to be successful, it's very transient, very military type living. You here a couple of years, you do great, you get moved on, you go to the next school, and
absolutely.
And for me, the goal was to, as a pro, you want to play at the highest level on the highest team. So for me, the highest level is Division I men's soccer. So I wanted to get to Division I men's soccer. So when I finally got there, I realized, wow, this really wasn't worth it. With everything that I'd done, from being a player to being a coach. So I just straight walked away from it.
What was the variables of being a Division I men's coach that made it feel like it wasn't all it's cracked up to be?
Super ruthless. It's just like being a pro, a pro coach. And I think the epiphany for me, realizing that soccer in America is exactly like it is in Australia. It's considered way down low on the totem pole, and when you go in for an athletic department meeting, the first words your athletic director says to you is, don't bring attention to the men's football program here, meaning American football. Mm-hmm. And the rest of you guys just go about your business, kind of, let you know that, you're part of something. You're not anything special. So,
so unless you don't bring attention to it,
you don't draw attention. And otherwise, in other words, don't get a violation. Don't make the NCAA want to come look at us for any reason because you're screwing up, because then they'll look at everything.
Right.
So
is that in Australia? Is it the same as in America, where basically college athletics is primarily driven by money? So obviously football is the number one watch sport in America, and so it drives the most eyeballs, which drives the most money. Is it the same way in Australia? Like, are people really watching
cricket or with rugby?
Are people watching cricket more than soccer in Australia?
Right. So, so in high school you have a certain amount of athletics. So you might have track and field in high school. You might have a popular sport like cricket for boys, field hockey for girls. But that's really it. I mean, you're at school to do school, and then when you go to university, there are no sports in university. You're there to prepare yourself for your next chapter of your life. So sports is very club-driven or club-orientated. So, if you're a female or a male and you're playing sports whilst in university, or if you've left high school and worked, it's straight into that club environment, that semi-professional, professional, whatever level you're at, or, the recreational, whatever it is. It's the two are not connected. So
really,
yeah,
because in America it's like the opposite of that. It's people get if you're a great soccer player, you get brought to the school, and your soccer coach is first thing you got to care about is soccer, and then the second thing you can care about is your academics.
Right.
Which it sounds like in Australia it's pretty much like people don't it's academics first, and then sports second.
So the only two countries in the world that have the similar setup with university sports and academics is Japan and the U.S.
Really?
And I wasn't ready to learn Japanese, and the U.S. looked a lot more inviting. So even though it was further away, but part of my success is after having the background that I had, I emphasized academics ahead of the football, because you bring a kid in that's a little bit more cerebral than the next. It's easier their coachability is a lot more higher. You can teach them higher level things tactically and technically, and then that correlates onto the field. So I had a lot of success as a college head coach. There are days I miss it. There are days that I don't miss it. Currently I'm helping out at Rockhurst University on a volunteer basis when I can, just to kind of, keep my finger on the pulse a little bit. And,
sure,
those days are good. But then there's also the gym is the priority. So
Is soccer a cerebral sport? Like when you watch soccer, this is just from the outside looking in, it just seems like, you have a bunch of guys, the best soccer players would be the ones who can run the fastest and have the best ball handling skills. But, in soccer, especially at that level, are there plays involved that you guys are calling?
Yeah. So soccer is mentally very a high level sport. A lot of people think it's just a bag of balls and away you go. It's actually not like that at all. When you play soccer, it's kind of like chess. You have to have the ability to think maybe 3, 4, 5 passes ahead. So the movement, what they call the movement off the ball, has to be at a pretty decent level, because you've got to try to anticipate things. So now instead of being reactionary, you're actionary. You're causing the movement. Mm-hmm. Where the U.S. struggles, and why they probably haven't won a World Cup, and it's just my opinion, there'll be a lot of haters when they hear this, is that they've so heavily relied on the stronger, faster, bigger athlete, and they forgot about that. And it's like comparing checkers to chess. Mm-hmm. So the guy that...
Our chicks won a World Cup, didn't they?
Yeah, purely on athleticism.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about the U.S. women's soccer team. So when I was out in California, they had a closed-door training session before the last World Cup. And in that training session, they played against a U16 LA Galaxy boys academy team.
They crushed them.
And
Got
the
wiped.
boys academy team crushed them.
Yeah.
Crushed them. They couldn't keep up with them athletically. 16-year-old boys couldn't keep up with them athletically. Boys are knocking 50, 60-yard diagonal balls across the field and just spread them out and lit them up. So,
but soccer also seems like one of those sports where as soon as a boy goes through puberty, he can probably play at a high level. It's similar to like basketball almost, where you have basketball players.
Hockey's a lot like that as well. I mean, you can play at a high level at 16 years old.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a coach, for me, it was age was never a factor. If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah.
So, the whole like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior thing here, a lot of kids get impacted. Like, well, freshmen got to sit, seniors get to play.
You had a best players play mentality there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. If you're good enough, you're going to play for me. I don't care how old you are. So.
How does the coaching correlate now? Because I know you coach athletes for bodybuilding, and got to be very different, right?
Yeah. For me, when we opened the gym, the coaching of the athlete really, it wasn't something that I thought about initially. Nina and I, we opened Brickyard because we wanted, a space for people to come and enjoy and have that gym environment and have a vibe that not a lot of gyms have. When we got into it, obviously we both compete. She competed before I did, and then when we got into it, people would keep coming to me and asking me, how to do this or how to do that. And it was actually Nina that said, babe, you should probably just start coaching people. It's what you do. So, kind of the fundamentals that I use coaching soccer, I do coaching my athletes. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of follow-up. There's accountability. I have 3 levels of client that I take on that I coach. And, I have a client that's like a lifestyle client where they're just looking to, maybe, fix things a little bit here and there, maybe tighten up their diet, tighten up their workout. They need a little bit of guidance. I have a healthy lifestyle type client where it's a medical issue where, like, the doctor has said, like, you've got to do something because this is going the wrong direction for you. So we can kind of make that a little bit more tailor-made. And then the third one is competition, which is probably the most stringent, where the accountability factor is, through communication several times a week. And, I'm texting, I'm calling, I might do a surprise FaceTime call to see what you're eating around a time that you're eating to make sure you're eating what you're supposed to be eating and stuff like that. So
what was a funny thing that you've surprise FaceTime somebody? What is something that you've caught somebody doing, which is hilarious?
At a McDonald's.
No. So
they don't answer, do they?
Yeah, no. So I tell my people if it's not on the plan, don't put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And I had a client whose numbers weren't moving, and I decided to call this individual during a time when I thought that they would be eating a meal, and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And they were like, "Good, just getting ready to start meal number 3." I said, "Awesome, FaceTime me." And they were like, "Well, I'm not in a place where I can FaceTime." I'm like, "I don't care, FaceTime me. Let me see what you're eating." And they FaceTime on the meal, and there was all this like white stuff on top of their food, and I was like,
"Oh, ranch."
I was like, so
no way.
I was like, "So what's that?"
Sour cream.
I said, "So what's that on top there?" And she goes, "Oh, it's this amazing yogurt dressing I found."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay." I said,
Bolt House
I
Farms.
said, "Can you send me the name of that so I can look it up real quick?" And it was great stuff. But
Was it Bolt House Farms yogurt dressing?
I don't remember the exact brand,
Okay.
but I asked her, I said, "How many of these meals a day are you putting them on? You putting it on all of them or just like 1 or 2? And she goes, "Oh, no, I put it on all of them." So she had blown up her fats every day. She was probably drowning in 120, 130 grams of fat every day just from the dressing that she was putting on her meals. The meals were great. Meals were perfect.
Yeah.
It was just the stuff that was sitting on top of it.
Oh, never mind on that.
So
Bolt House Farms dressings. Like
it's
2
funny
grams
how
fat.
people will take what you say and they kind of run it through their own filter, and then they decide like, well, this probably isn't that bad. And also, people can be pretty into the fitness industry, and they get sucked in by marketing still.
Right.
So they'll walk down an aisle and they'll see, obviously it was a yogurt dressing. So what does most people think?
Yep.
Well, that's healthy. I should be
Right.
able to use that one because it's healthy.
Right.
And they don't even think to look on the back and say, well, it's 40. And a lot of things, for anybody who's listening too, you check the serving size, because serving size is everything. A lot of
on
times,
sauces specifically,
a serving size on sauce, they'll do a teaspoon. And I'm like, a teaspoon?
Yeah.
A teaspoon. Like there's absolutely nobody.
I put a teaspoon on every bite.
Yeah, I was about to say
Right.
there's absolutely nobody that's using a teaspoon of this sauce, and they'll be like, yeah, it's only 40 calories per serving, but it's a teaspoon serving.
Well, we've all been tricked into thinking that we're eating healthy through TV or media and
Sure.
things like that.
Sure.
I do a little Q&A with people when I first interact with them, just to kind of get a gauge on what their eating habits are like and quantities and stuff like that, so I can help better build a program that they're capable of handling instead of like crashing and burning. And you always get this, I eat healthy, and then we start to break down the foods that they eat, and they are actually eating like healthy based on what we know from the media. But then when you start to break the numbers down, it's like, whoa, like for example, a single banana is like 30 grams of carbs, and most of it's sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You smash through a couple bananas a day, well, you've blown up your sugars for the day, and those carbs are adding onto the list.
People really, really don't like it when you tell them you can't have fruit.
Right.
It's pretty wild.
Well, you gotta have fruit. Fruit's vital to health, but what you're talking about is the portion size of
Yes.
fruit.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Because the thing is, and this kind of goes back to yogurt. A lot of people will want to do a big bowl of yogurt, and they'll want to throw in,
All the additives.
every
Treats.
different piece of fruit known to man.
Right.
How do you help people get through that? A lot of times what I do is just tell them like do berries or do, things that are smaller portions of carbohydrates.
Yeah. I mean, anything that has the word berry in it's probably the best fruit to eat. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries. Blueberries probably first on that list. But again, with the 3 clients I have, when I do their nutritional plan, everything's breaked out into portions.
Yeah.
And I explain to them that, this is the portion size that I want you to consume because this is where you're going to have the most success based on your age, height, and weight. And then my competition clients don't get this sheet, but I created a food analytics sheet which creates variety for the customer. So when you get the nutrition plan from me, it's it might say a category 1 protein, and then I may have a suggestion. So let's just say ground chicken breast. So if you don't want to eat the ground chicken breast, you go to the ancillary sheet, then look up category 1 proteins, and you've got like 8 or 10 different proteins to select from to substitute in there to create variety, as long as you're following the number, right? So if it's 3.5 ounces or if it's 6 ounces, whatever that is, the math's already been done. You just get to pick something that's different. So there's actually, between the different low sodium spices that you can use, any sort of spice that is thermogenically enhanced, like a pepper, a cayenne pepper, stuff like that, or even like there's a ton of companies out there now doing sugar-free condiments, but even though sugar-free does not necessarily mean sugar-free, just saying they should say low sugar.
Yeah.
But it just offers so much more variety because really what's happening is flavor gets taken away from you. The cleaner you eat, flavor gets taken away. So if you can add or create flavor, it just makes it easier to consume, and you can, as long as you're tricking your mind or the mind, it's doable.
It's
very much so.
American diet, outside of people who are focused on eating healthy, it's so hyper palatable that it skews people's perception of what is flavorful, right? Because we're so used to having things that are high sugar, high fat, and when you have a donut, you're like, this is great, and it basically makes it to where you have a banana and you're like, oh, this is just, it's not as good, not as high of carbohydrates, no fat in it, and it's hard to basically bring people back and get them. But in my experience, the more that somebody eats clean, the better the food tastes over time.
It's wild how that works too. I'll go a week of being really on my game as far as eating nothing but food that I made myself, right? Being a bachelor for so many years, I got so in the habit of just eating food out and getting it delivered, whatever. And if I eat just what I'm supposed to eat for a week, if I have like a piece of cantaloupe or blueberry or whatever, you're like, man, this tastes amazing. Like, wow, this tastes so sweet.
Cantaloupe sucks.
Dude,
just throwing that out there.
Dude,
cantaloupe, you literally use cantaloupe as your first cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe is one of those things that I grew up with as a kid.
He said berries, blueberries, strawberries. Like, come on, those delicious. Cantaloupe.
All those things are good, but I enjoy
pineapple in moderation.
Pineapple,
dude. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of pineapple.
The absolute best.
Not my favorite. It's got like a sour taste to it that I don't like as much. I enjoy cantaloupe. I don't enjoy honeydew as much, but I do enjoy some cantaloupe.
So just know your palate is
garbage.
Trainable.
Yeah. You guys are gonna hate on cantaloupe. You're telling me right now you don't enjoy cantaloupe.
Melon is a little boring.
Yeah.
Watermelon?
No, melon. That's what we call it.
Yeah, it is a type of melon.
Cantaloupe's orange, right?
What's it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get a green cantaloupe and an orange cantaloupe.
Yeah, the green cantaloupe's honeydew. It's gross. Yeah. Not as much flavor there. But dude, cantaloupe's good.
It's
both of those will stay on the shelf in the grocery store for me.
Oh, that's fine. My mom scooped out some cantaloupe as a kid for me, and that was all I ate. That was great. Anyways, moving on. We got to dwell on that.
No, it's cool.
If anybody wants to give me some cantaloupe, I'm psyched.
Yeah.
No, you can hate on it all you want.
Hook them up.
Steve, let's talk about the fact that you were doing something completely corporate before you were opening a gym, correct?
Yep.
Can we explain that? Because that's one of those things where there's going to be some people listening to this that are in this hamster wheel where they're thinking in their head like, I got, all these responsibilities. There's no way I could possibly do what I've been dreaming of doing forever. And you said, screw that. I'm just going to go up and do it.
Right. So after 16 years of college coaching and just up and walked away from it, I entered the private sector. I was working for I was working for a very significantly large pest company as a salesman initially, and clueless. I never sold anything in my life.
But you killed it though.
So started, and 7 months into the job, I get a call from my boss and says my boss's boss wants to meet with you. And I was like, oh shit, this is short term, wasn't it? And guess I'm not cut out for sales. And he sits down, and this is a Friday. In fact, this is the Friday that I met Nina, so it's a very memorable day for me. We're at lunch, and he goes, so you got to tell me what's happening. And I said, well, Dave, you called the meeting, so I really don't know what's happening. He goes, let's talk about your numbers. And I said, are they not good enough? And he goes, actually, it's the opposite of that. He goes, for someone that has no experience, like zero, none, he goes, your numbers are just not normal. We don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. And then he meets you, and he's like, well, you're not normal. You're the most likable person.
Right. So so he goes, help me understand how you're selling all these customers. And I said, well, I don't think that I am selling them. I said, when I walk in, I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm trying to offer them a partnership. So I told him, I said, everyone that I spoke to, I was looking at them as like a recruit, and I'm trying to recruit you to come be a part of my team. So he's like, oh, okay. He goes, I can see how that would work. And he said, well, if I was to ask you what's your best asset? And I said, well, there's only one of me, so there's only so much good I can do. I said, but if you put me in a room with 20 people, I said, I'll make those 20 people be far better than they think they can be. So now you've got 20 versions of me running around. And he's like, okay. So he offered me a branch manager's position in Wichita. I was in Kansas City at the time, and he said, we got a branch that's not working down there, and why don't you go down there and see if you can turn it around? And I was like, sure. I said, but I'll only do Wichita for a year. I said, then you got to bring me back. I said, is that part of the deal? And he's like, sure. So I went down to Wichita and knocked it out the park. It was probably done in 6 months, 7 months, and just kind of hung out there for the last 3 or 4 months. And by this time, I met Nina that Friday and moved to Wichita Monday. So I met her a couple times between there, coming up to visit friends, and we started dating, and I was driving up at that point every weekend, and I said, look, we're at a year. It's time to move back to Kansas City. I've got companies, which I did. I had companies reaching out to me, wanting me to come work for them, and I think they tried to call bullshit a little bit on my, me telling them that. So they're like, well, we can't move you back. We've got to keep you here. And I just told them, like, you've got 30 days. I'm on salary that you're considering.
You should have been like, have you guys been to Wichita? Like, it's been a year. A year is long enough.
I've done what I needed to do here.
Yeah.
I'm from Wichita, by the way.
Jail sentence served. So, and I genuinely think that they thought that I was bluffing, and I got 3 days out from the 30 days, and I started packing my stuff up, and they're like, well, what? And I was like, well, I gave you 30 days notice 27 days ago. So yeah, I said, if you can make magic happen in 3 days, otherwise I'm out.
I can't believe like the level of sincerity in which you speak, and what you'd done and how hard you worked, that they really just thought that they could just pull this bullshit.
Well, that's big business. When you're $1 billion company, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, but just, I don't know, man, the conversation that he had with you and him, just, I don't know. I don't feel like $1 billion companies become $1 billion companies treating people like that.
No, what happens is they eventually get watered down. To get to $1 billion company, you eventually have sold away parts of your company. Most likely, you're not, solely owned by the original owner. And
sure,
along the way, they've watered down the processes to the point where they get this dude that's over you, who's a turd, and made a promise that he couldn't keep.
I think they offered me more money, but it wasn't about the money at that point. I was making more money coaching soccer in California than I have made since I've moved back. So it was never about the money. It was about getting back, and a promise was made, and I'm a pretty loyal guy. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'll do it. I'll go to bat for you until you do something that either crosses me or makes me look bad inadvertently or purposefully, and the time for me was just to walk away because our promise had been broken. So and I just walked straight into another job here in Kansas City. It was, when I gave them 30 days notice, I gave these guys 30 days notice that I was coming back, and literally the day after my contract with them was done, I signed another contract with a company up here. And
what were you selling up here?
so I was the director of operations for an underground marking company. So when you see the little flags sticking out of the ground with the paint sprayed all over the blacktop or the grass, or you come home and someone's been in your yard and they've pommeled it with flags and paint, that's the kind of the company that I worked for. So so I was with those guys for about 2.5 years, and I would tell Nina that the best way I could describe what was happening to me after being in an environment of athletics and coaching and in sports for my whole life, and then transitioning into this private sector. So I was 2 years in Kansas City, Wichita with the first company, and then a little over 2 years with this second company. I felt like a zoo exhibit. So, when a zoo brings in like the new lion, right? Or the new tiger,
Yeah, they always have to pimp it out.
That big son of a bitch is pacing around like he owns the place. He's the the big swinging dick in the zoo, and like everyone wants to go see him. But then give it about a year, then that lion or that tiger is casting that lonely shadow, walking the same fence line, and it looked so demoralized and like didn't want to be there. Like just I want to go into a corner, curl up, and die. And that's what life was turning into me, from being this like outside environment to in coaching and everything to sitting behind a computer screen, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. I mean, it was like sucking the life out of me, literally. And,
I think that's a good lesson. And, if you have somebody that's like that, who is a stud that comes working for your company, if you are not consistently challenging him, you're going to lose him. That's just the way that goes.
So I was having actually pre-COVID, I was having the conversation with Nina. Like, I was like, I want to buy something. I said, let's look at a liquor store, or let's look at a convenience store, or let's look at a gym. Something that has clientele where it's interactive, where you can you can meet people and
be the face, if you will,
be the face of the business. So we met with a couple gym people, and the price was, I just felt like the price was too high. And
where were you guys looking, as just to give our listeners an insight as to how this process goes?
Yeah, so we live in Leawood, so I wanted to initially stay close to the community that we had known for a really long time. A lot of people know Nina and I down south where we live. We worked out at the old gym that we worked out at Lifetime. Everyone in that gym knew who
Oh yeah, you guys were consistent as hell.
Yeah.
So, day in and day out.
The restaurants that we went to. So, we had a decent group of people that if we went somewhere, we knew someone and we could have a drink with them or whatever. So we looked down south, and we just couldn't find something that for me that was workable.
Yeah, the rent down south is just silly.
Yeah, the rent, and then you can't. I don't think you should be selling a business on clientele, because at any minute your clientele could walk out with the previous owner. Let's come up with a number and then go from there. So we kind of just shied away from it a little bit, and then COVID hit, and I was placed on staff reduction because I was one of the highest salary people at the company I was at, and then Nina, she obviously all the schools shut down, so she was working as a administrator at a school. And, we just kind of looked at each other and said, what do you want to do? And it was her mom that actually said, I've got a space. Why don't you just build your own gym and come look at the space? So we went and looked at the space, and, we were walking around, and if you saw the space before what it looks like now, you would never think that there would be a gym going in there.
Oh, we gotta get some before pics, because I remember seeing it, halfway through.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit.
So like you're trying to imagine walls not being there and walls being here and like add-ons. And
the building alone was over 100 years old, right?
Yeah, it's part of the old original distillery where they made all the alcohol, and where the J. Rieger is now is actually where the bottling plant used to be. In the buildings in Guinotte there that Nina's mum owns, that's where all the liquor was made. And then when Prohibition hit, they ran ice through there, and they ran all these other things through there, and then there was a big flood happened down there, and so, but yeah, so for example, the buildings down there are over 100 years old. So we've tore some of the plaster off one of the walls to expose some of the brick that's over 100 years old, so that way you can see it.
It's really cool to have a gym that's, Kansas City, that era of Kansas City during Prohibition, when Pendergast, basically ran the city. That's such an interesting.
It was Wild West here, man.
Yeah, it was like the Wild West. They called it the Las Vegas or Sin City of the Midwest.
Right.
And it's really cool that you have a gym that basically was you have a gym in a building that was such a big part of that, know?
Yeah, we felt a little bit guilty in one of our rooms. They still had the original rail tracks in there that came from outside of the building into the building, and we had to level the floor. So we had to put. I refused to put concrete straight over the top of them, so we put a plaster over the top of the train tracks first, and then put the concrete over the top of the plaster. So if anyone ever wants to get to it, they can get to it without too much trouble. But
cool.
But so we went down, looked at the space, and we started talking while we're in the space. What about if this was here and this was there? And then we put together a vision board and a business plan, and kind of ran it through a couple people, see what they thought, and then we just kind of had a holy shit moment. Let's do it. And we ended up we flipped the space in 14 weeks.
Dude, so quick. It's crazy.
So yeah, we were in there. We were in there every day. It was like for us, Brickyard Fitness started in June, and when construction started, and right up to the day that we were opening. We were, it was a dream flip, to be honest with you, with the exception of. With one incident that took place with our mirrors, but you'll have to come into Brickyard to hear the story because it's a visual story. You need
you have to see it.
You have to see it to believe it. But yeah, it went really well, and then we opened in August, and
this is August of 2020 or August of 2021.
August of 2020. So we're either going to turn out to be geniuses by opening this business in a full-on pandemic, or we're fools. But I think we're geniuses because we're still here and we're plugging away and coming up on 2 years. So
it's exciting, man.
Yeah.
There's a really crazy. I know this is a plug, but at this point, I want our listeners to hear this because I know you guys are just launched this crazy deal for May, and this is going to come out in May. So what's the deal that you guys have going on at Brickyard for people that actually want to try it out?
Yeah, so people want to always get ready for the pool, the beach, summer, everything like that. So we're doing a May membership sale where we're offering it's $29.99 a month plus tax for a year commitment, and our regular membership's $49.99. So it's a pretty big cut. Come in and check the place out. First visit's free on Nina and I, and if you like it, sign up and let's get going. Be part of the Brickyard family.
That's cool, man. We just to reiterate, first visit's always free, and then if you want to sign up in May, it's a $20 discount a month for the whole year.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's wild. I want to ask about this too because there's a lot of people that listen to this and I'm thinking, maybe I'd like to open a gym someday. Tell them about why they shouldn't want to open a gym someday. And then tell them about why they should. You know what I mean? Like, what's the cool takeaway? And then what's also
pros
just like
and the cons.
The shit you never thought of until you owned one. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it's always good to start with the negatives and finish with the positives.
For sure.
So the negatives is the first 127 days we were open, I was working 110 hours a week. Yeah. So to put that in perspective, that would be nearly 3 full-time jobs that you have to work through the course of a week.
And you were just working working the desk to ensure that you're greeting every single person that walks in?
Yeah. Part of what Nina and I have created there is we know the name of every person that walks in that door. So it's very personalized. We want to build a sense of community, so that way, we know who our members are, what they're about, and everything like that. And I think they appreciate that. We go above and beyond for people that are have special needs and stuff like that. So we have a member that recently she broke her leg, but she was still coming into the gym, and every time she'd get to the gym, we'd say, "All right, Joe, what's up? What are you working today?" And we'd go set all the equipment up for her, so that way she didn't have to try to lug stuff around with crutches and so forth. So she basically came in, did her workout, and we packed up after her, and she left. So
that's awesome.
So just stuff like that. I'm a firm believer that it's the details that matter.
Absolutely, man.
Negatives, when you're a business owner, you're tied to your business 24/7. I mean, literally 24/7. In 2 years, we've not really had any time away from the gym whatsoever. And if we have, it's still been fitness related. And it's not been like,
it's been you guys going to compete.
Yes,
pretty much, or watching your clients compete.
Right. So, so still tied to the gym. Positives. Every time I go to work and I pull in through the gate and I look at the sign, that's my sign. That's Nina's sign. That's our sign. That's something that we've created and built with our own hands, literally. If you're invested in your product and you're willing to put the time in and not take any money from it initially, I think the positives will always come on the back end. I think sometimes the negative on people that open a business, they want to make money straight away, and that's not real world. That's
delay gratification.
Yeah, I use this. It's the matrix effect with everything. Everyone wants the red pill or the blue pill, and they want it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this when we opened the gym, but typically gym turnaround for profit and successibility doesn't actually start until your third year in business. So it's even longer than most businesses. They say, like, if you can survive your first 2 years, you've made it. Well, in a gym, it's 3. So there's another kicker on the backside that you got to go a whole nother year. So,
with that being said, what's next for Brickyard then?
For us, it's day to day. Obviously, we want to increase our clientele. We do these vendor boot camps, which is kind of unique, where we bring you guys in and some other vendors, and it's kind of a theme to boot camp. So, like for May, it's our second annual superhero mayhem boot camp, where the workouts revolved around like all the Marvel and the DC characters and stuff like that, and
making it fun.
Yeah. So, and then, just to grow the Brickyard brand, it was amazing. The show that we just went to in St. Louis, where we had competitors competing, not even lying about this, there must have been 20, 25 people in the audience that had Brickyard Fitness shirts on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, not being biased, but I've been told our logo is pretty cool. So it's just, getting our brand out there and networking as much as we can.
Speaking of the logo, let's tell the story behind the dog and Brickyard Fitness's logo.
So the dog is actually the star of the gym. It's not Nina and I. People tell us it's Nina and I. It's not. It's the dog. So the dog in the logo is Jet. She's our Italian Mastiff. She's a Cane Corso. The image in the logo is actually a photograph taken of her when she was 4 months old, standing in her backyard. She's actually looking at the neighbor's yard. There's a dog in the neighbor's yard. And our logo guy imposed the photo of her out and kind of inserted it into that logo. And the minute Nina and I saw it, we're like, yes, that's it. That's, we wanted kind of an old school round logo, kind of like the old boxing gyms used to have round logos and stuff.
Absolutely.
Something that's clean, simple, appealing. We have a secondary logo, which is just a letter B that has her in the center of the logo. Then with just a little BYF off to the side. That's kind of a secondary logo that we haven't really even released yet. But our primary logo is all about the dog and the gym. So
very cool.
And she's there every day. So she's having some time off now. She's just going through her second heat cycle, so she's a little finicky. But she's typically there every day. She goes down with Nina in the morning. And
is she gonna have some babies anytime soon?
No babies. No babies.
So. Question for you now is, do you guys have any plans on or thinking about maybe a Brickyard Fitness 2?
We've talked about it. A lot of people have approached us about opening the concept down south. But for Nina and I, for us, it's important to get the first place set up so it's self-sustaining. I feel like we would do a disservice to the second location and even the first location by doing that before it's ready. Once that's self-sustaining, we have opportunities with where we're at to expand. There's some space there that we could utilize that we haven't touched yet, to create, maybe a different space, something with a little bit more power or more CrossFit or something like that. So we have the ability to enlarge the location where we're at currently before thinking of a second location.
I like it.
Have you spent the last year or so, delegating more responsibility to other people, and also doing things to scale the business to make it more reasonable for you, so you're not having to work 110 hours a week?
Yeah, so I've scaled down to about 70 on a good week. So, but yeah, we're slowly, as we grow, that gives us the ability to have a trainer close, or seek someone that's trying to make a little bit of money and be successful, like trying to get new clients and stuff like that. Nene and I, we never opened the gym because we were trying to become famous and make all this money. It's never about that for us. And we tell our trainers that come in, like, this is your playground. This is an opportunity for you to make as much money as you humanly can. It just depends on how hard you want to work. Yeah. So, and if you're willing to graft, the space is here, and we, as owners, we don't really micromanage. We're pretty relaxed as it goes. We have some simple, housekeeping rules and, things that are required if you're closing and stuff like that. But other than that, it's free space. It's one of the few gyms where I continuously see people walk in plugged in. I call them plugged in because they've got their headphones going, and once they hear the music that's playing there, they end up taking their headphones off or unplugging and listen to the tracks that Nina's either set up to play, or we have these big JBL party boxes that we set up in the spaces sometimes, and we'll just be blasting some extra bass in there and really getting it going. And so there's some things that we do that are a little different than most gyms that, kind of play the cardboard box playlist.
The thing that I appreciate about Brickyard is you guys have the quality of a bigger gym as far as the equipment that you guys have in there, the way that the gym looks, but you guys have the vibe of like a little, like a close knit, it's you have the best of both worlds. You have the community of like a close knit gym, but you have like the quality of a bigger national brand, right? Which it stands out to me. It stands out when you walk into the gym. You're like, damn, this place is awesome.
Right. It feels like you have a private, I would say it's like a private boutique feel in this sense, but the size of a bigger gym in the sense of being able to do everything you need to do in there.
When we were building it, one of the things that we talked about was I felt like a lot of gyms had no personality. Like it's a space where you work out.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was looking for, is personality.
And what we were trying to convey is the reason you go to your favorite restaurant is because of the vibe at the restaurant and the food is great, or the bar that you go to is because the vibe of the bar is great, and it's somewhere where your friends all get together. So what we tried to create at Brickyard is when you walk in, the vibe of the gym immediately attracts you and draws you in, and then the workout's the fringe benefit. Yeah. The music's jamming, the equipment's there, and you just get it done, and you enjoy coming there because it's your space. It's just like it's your favorite bar, your favorite restaurant,
and a lot of the members, they know each other too. They know each other's names as well. Yeah. Which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's actually quite unique because like I said, when I used to work out, I'm working out, like, leave me alone. And, a lot of people are like that. But at Brickyard, I find that a lot of our members actually interact during their workout. It's very rarely do you see the grown man on his phone playing World of Warcraft while he's working out. If he's not doing a set, he's chatting to another member. And so it's actual interaction, and the girls come in, they come in and they get their workout done. And our age demographic is quite unique as well. We have members from 18 all the way to 72. So,
damn, that's crazy. You have a 72-year-old member?
We do. He's just had hip surgery, so he should be coming back any day. But he was a regular; he'd come in every day.
That's awesome. What's his name?
Andy Brown. He works down at Mid-States down there right on Guinotte. So he just roll down in his lunch break, knock it out, and roll back.
Nice. That's awesome. Nice. We got some rapid fire questions we like to ask some of our guests, and I want to get to know you better, Steve.
He just gives people the food questions over and over again.
Dude, I'm going to start off with a non-food one just because you said that, but I had one.
You only have one non-food one.
I have two. No. Well, dude, I mean, so much of what we do as far as dieting goes, like, someone looks like Steve, you got to ask him, like, hey, dude, I know you eat a lot of food that doesn't taste good, but when you do make some decisions, for example, like what's your favorite diet-friendly sauce?
Diet-friendly sauce is G. Hughes sweet chili.
Ooh, I haven't tried this sweet chili.
I think I have it. I think I have some down. Does it say Thai in it, or does it just say sweet chili?
Sweet chili.
Okay, need to try that. Favorite fitness apparel?
The Rock Under Armour gear.
Of course, he is the Australian.
I was
Rock.
about to say you got the same build as The Rock.
He knows it. They're gonna meet someday. It's gonna be awesome. Favorite protein powder?
First Form Formula 1.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. Last show you binged on TV? I know you're not much of a TV guy, but I'm sure you've watched something.
We are finishing up season 6 on the Vikings.
Oh, is it called the Viking or Vikings?
The Vikings. So
okay, what streaming service is that on?
Amazon Prime.
Nice. And last question. You've dieted so many times for shows now. What's the go-to cheat meals for you? I have my guess for you because I've talked about this with you so many times.
Yeah, I to be fair, a good fat old cheeseburger with fries is probably my go-to if I had my choice. I leave it up to my coach. My coach says go get a cheeseburger. I get a cheeseburger. He says go do a cheese pizza. Go do sushi. Whatever he decides that's going to be my.
No, but the show is over, and now it's competing's done, and then you get to have whatever cheat meal you want.
Oh, it's burger and fries all day long.
Yeah. Well, now what cheeseburger? Because I know you also have a sensitive gut sometimes, and you can't have whatever you want sometimes when it comes to the food.
I do. So there used to be this little burger joint in Martin City called Ramsey's. They closed down, so that was like
Ramsey's in Martin City was the spot.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that, Kyle? You're out in Martin City sometimes.
I'm in Martin City all the time. Yeah, Ramsey's, it just shut down not too long ago.
They replaced it with a store called Penny's Bakery. I felt like someone cut my finger off when they closed that store down. So. But
is Penny's Bakery good? I mean, I love a good bakery.
Dude, it's right down the street from the original Jack Stack. It's literally right there.
I've never tried it. They've just opened, but Nina and I found a new place. It's called Smitty's Garage.
Oh, very familiar.
Yeah, so they have a double bison burger there with cheese and sweet potato fries, which is pretty clutch.
That's a great concept, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, Smitty's Garage is a chain, but they make good stuff. It's actually it's in the Ward Parkway Shopping Center.
Oh, I got a question for you. Growing up in Australia, what's the scariest animal that you had to deal with as a child?
Snakes all day long.
Snakes.
Yeah.
How often do you come across a snake?
You're more scared of snakes than spiders? Like, dude, I don't want to see one of those tarantulas you guys got over there.
What's funny is, I'm not scared of them because, when you're a kid growing up, you're actually taught how to, handle all those, like when you're in school.
Oh, that's unique to Australia.
Yeah.
You have a survival class.
In elementary school, they teach you. We have, fire drills and tornado drills. You guys have snakes.
Yeah, right. Really, the only reason someone gets bit is because they're doing something they shouldn't, or they're stepping somewhere where they shouldn't, or putting their hand somewhere where they shouldn't. It's not like snakes and spiders are actively looking like, I'm going to bite this son of a bitch today. So,
for sure.
Sure.
But I remember being a kid, and we had a Doberman as a dog, and I was vacuuming the pool, old school vacuuming where you got to connect the hose to the vacuum part that connects to the long staff, and then you got to plug it into the filter box, and so you're always dragging this big ass heavy hose around as you're cleaning the pool, and sometimes it runs across your feet, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm cleaning the pool, and I feel this thing go across the top of my feet, and I'm just assuming it's the hose, and our dog is going absolute balls to the wall, like losing its shit, and I'm like, man, what is wrong with this dog?
I can imagine you having headphones in, listening to music or something. You know what I mean?
And I look to my left, and my dog has got this snake bailed up about 6 feet away from me, and what had gone across the top of my feet
was the snake,
and not the pool hose. And we have a snake in Australia called a king brown. It's actually, I think, either one or two most poisonous in the world. And this thing was probably maybe 7 or 8 feet long. Every bit as thick as the pool hose, which is probably 2 inches in diameter, 2.5 inches in diameter. So I kind of had a holy cow moment. But we always kept a square nose shovel outside by the garden shed, because that was the apparatus of choice for dispatching these things. And And I remember going and getting that shovel, and it took me a couple whacks, and I finally decapitated this thing. And my old man's comes outside because he can hear the shovel blade hitting the concrete, right?
Yeah.
And he comes out and he goes, "Oh my God, what have you done to the concrete?" And I was like, "The concrete? See what's here?" Because a couple of times I kind of went down instead of going straight down, went down an angle. I'm a little kid, I'm pissing my pants trying to kill a snake. And
the dog okay?
The dog was okay. The dog actually probably was the saving grace of the day. He bailed that snake up and stopped it doing whatever it was doing. It was a pretty big boy. So, but
that's wild.
But yeah, I remember another time I was actually smaller than that. My dad had a little cucumber patch, and he was out there picking these cucumbers, and he went to reach in to pick a cucumber, and I was like, I grabbed his hand, and I was like, "There's a snake there." And there was another. It was a smaller king brown, but it was coiled up underneath that little cucumber patch, and so
terrifying, dude.
Not daily, but you come across them. And,
how big are the spiders you see out there?
Regular size. Then we have some spiders that are wolf spiders, and those guys get pretty big. They're maybe 2 to 3 inches in diameter once they spread their legs out. Abdomens maybe.
There's no like dinner plates walking around?
Oh, there's some dinner plates. We got some bird-eating spiders out there, and like trapdoor spiders. So
bird-eating spiders.
Yeah, they nest up and they create this little sneaky trapdoor underneath trees and stuff. And when the birds come down onto the ground to feed, they kind of just snatch up out of this little trapdoor. And
oh my God, dude,
that is terrifying.
Home of Steve Irwin. Do you have a shrine to Steve Irwin at your house, being from Australia?
No, I don't. But it was a sad day when he was taken. So he was a good guy.
From a devil ray, wasn't it?
A bull ray. The cameraman actually started the bull ray, and the bull ray flipped, and it's on the end of its tail they have like a
stinger.
It's like a barb, right?
A barb.
Yeah.
And the barb went right into his heart. I mean,
one in a million chance of that happening.
1 in a billion.
Yeah.
1 in a billion. So.
Man, that's so sad. I love seeing that his kids are carrying on his legacy.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Boy's not as brave as his dad, but he's doing his best.
Understandable though.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we want him to live. I mean, like, we don't need him to be as brave as his dad in this scenario.
Wrestle a crocodile.
Right.
No shit. Anyway, we have, we're going to wrap up the show here, but I want to know, is there anything we want to share with the listeners before we get off? Besides, we want to obviously let them know where you're at, how to get a hold of you, but is there anything else you'd like to let them know?
Yeah, look, I think Brickyard Fitness is I call it a destination location, but anything worth going to or doing is worth the journey to get there. If you're prepared to drive 20 minutes to get a burger, what's driving 15, 20 minutes to check out a gym to see what it looks like? And I would say 99 times out of 100, once you walk into our gym, you'll love it, and you just got to make the decision if that's what you want to make it your home. So this month's a good month to do it. You're locked in for a whole year at that price, and come down and check us out.
What's the address?
Address is 2830 Guinotte Avenue in Kansas City 64120. You put us in Google Maps, it'll bring you right to our front door. So
perfect.
Nice. What's social media that people can follow you at?
We are on Instagram under Brickyard Fitness, and then Nina has her personal training page is Fit by Nina. I'm Brickyard Fit, and then I believe Facebook is just Brickyard Fitness. So.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys coming on and telling the story today, Steve. We have our Protein Bros t-shirts that are available in all 7 of our Supplement Superstores locations. Make sure you guys swing by and grab one. All you have to do is show them that you have subscribed to the podcast, and that is on the house. If you are not located near a Supplement Superstore, you can give a call to any one of them and they'll ship one out to you, or find it on our website, proteinbrospodcast.com.
Cool. Thanks for coming on, dude. Absolutely. It was a great conversation, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the invite and your time, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Talk soon.
Thanks.
Boom.